Go.
Hi guys, hope everything's finding you well and safe. Any questions on the last couple? Obviously email me, keep looking at your news. Not much else going on to report, obviously, except some cool stuff happening in Rome 2,000 years ago. So, let's dig in if you don't mind, huh? Alright, we talked last time about Augustus Caesar. If you remember, the Senate thought he was going to be sickly and only last a couple of years. He's not a threat. Well, does Ramses the Great, Ramses the Second, mean anything to any of you? Oh, wait, I see Bo laughing hysterically. Is that a smile I see on Trinity's face, huh? What are you looking at there? Just because he was old? It better be. Here we have Augustus Caesar. He lived to be 76 years old. Obviously, at that lifespan time, he was truly the Caesar of Caesars, the George Washington of our country of sorts. He died in 14 AD. That date should trigger something in your head. We made the transition from BC to AD, okay? But 14 AD, we got a little 12-year-old teaching in synagogues, don't we? Put that in the back of your head. We're going to come back to it. What did I just say? Wake up, Levi. Levi, wake up. Somebody hit Levi. Something within this BC AD triggers somebody there that's about 12 years old, once again, teaching in the synagogues. Who could that be, a 12-year-old? Think of our room and look at the picture that I have up above the office door. Hint. We're coming back to that. Okay, after Augustus Caesar died, his adopted son Tiberius took over, and Tiberius is part of we call the Julian Caesars. Okay, the Julian Caesars. Julian, July, they're related to who? Julius Caesar. We deviate from that going through the different Caesars, the different emperors as we go along. This reign and era of Pax Romana concludes with the last great emperor, Marcus Aurelius, in 180 AD. After 180 AD, he had a son named Commodus, and he ruled from 180 AD to 192 for 12 years. And this was the end of Pax Romana. Now, we're backing up a little. Marcus Aurelius. Does anybody know who or why or what? Have we ever heard of Marcus Aurelius? Oh, Chloe's hands up. Yeah, Chloe? You're right. He was in Gladiator. You guys, light bulbs should be going on, okay? Mott's, wake up again. You guys are sleeping, man. Kaylor, settle down. I know you loved that Russell Crowe. I know you got Kaylor, it's okay. In Gladiator, Marcus Aurelius was the old guy up on the Danube frontier that Russell Crowe really liked. So Gladiator really wasn't based on much truth, except these guys. Remember his son that was kind of with his sister? Remember, kind of weird in Gladiator? His name was Commodus. In the movie, Russell Crowe kills him in the Colosseum, right? Here, Commodus actually dies in 192. And oh, do I wish I was at school right now. Because Commodus was crazy. Like some of the other Nero and some of the other Caligula, some of the other emperors. But Commodus was a bad dude. He was psychotic. And how he perished in 192 is he went into a steam bath. The Romans were into like their bathing and their steam baths and all that. And he went in, and one of his bodyguards took him by the neck. You know where I'm going with this. You better believe it. And choked Commodus to death, to kill him, because he was that poor and bad a leader. That's why we say Pax Romana ends at 180 AD. It lasted about 200 years. Wait a minute, 200 years. Funny. How long has the United States been in on our rise? Not comparing, just stating. Okay? Pax Romana, peace and prosperity, ends at 180 AD with Commodus. going down. Roman decline, we're starting to go down. But before we do, let's look at what this dude and the other great emperors, the Julian emperors, okay? 10,000 statues are erected, some of which are still in Rome today. Those of you that have been to Rome, you know that there's a lot of statues around. Well, yeah, with 10,000. Obviously, that was to have Rome that centerpiece of the world. All roads lead to Rome. And here, 10,000 statues. That's incredible. We have our little doughboy at the courthouse. Here, 10,000 of them. How about this one? 700 pools where the masses could go swimming and bathing. And where are they getting the water? As a test of sorts. Where are they getting the water for these pools? I'm waiting. Hands, I'm waiting. Oh, Hudson, do you know? You want to take a guess?
The aquifers?
Aqueducts. Right? Oh, good correction. Not an aquifer, that's in the ground, that's a water source, but the aqueducts that we learned yesterday. That's where they're filling these from the mountains. They also had with that water 500 fountains, one of which is still there today, and it's one of my favorite, the Trevi Fountain. You throw a coin over your shoulder, and that allows you to come back to Rome. I'm here to tell you, you believe in the Easter Bunny, Santa Claus, like I say, the she-wolf. When you're in Rome, do it, because you will be back. How do I know? Because it worked for me. I've been to Rome several times looking at all this cool stuff because I believe, okay? What contributions then did this Roman culture give us? Their primary language is Latin. We know that. And then they came up with this Greco-Roman culture architecture. Let's look at this. We know Rome, but what's the Greco? What's that Greco? Well, Samuel, he's having a heart attack over there. He knows. No, but I'm looking for somebody else. Somebody we haven't heard from. Oh my God, Tori, what is it? Annika, Tori, oh, we're lighting up here. Greco, they're seeing it. It's Greece. Yes, good job, you guys. It's Greece. It's part of that Eastern Greek culture and tradition, melding, going together with the Roman. So this is a culture now that is starting to enhance what kind of civilization? Western civilization that we are going to embrace. Their foods. The Romans were big into foods. The men would typically, as I said before, eat lying down. But one delicacy, when they had their big parties, I wanted to let you in on, I have never had, nor do I really ever care to. And before we go, oh, that's sick, man. Well, look at some people love caviar or shrimp, or not shrimp, the snails, escargot, caviar, fish eggs. Before we say this is weird, we do weird stuff. Oh, how about Rocky Mountain oysters? Edwin, I know you've had them. Okay, same thing. Weird. Yeah, if you don't know what Rocky Mountain oysters are, ask your parents or older brothers or sisters. Because it's just, I can't get into that. That's not right. I have passion and compassion for animals. As you can see with the elk head up above, I love animals. I would never dream of cutting off someone's private parts. Okay, back to the food here. Back to the food here. Yeah, there. Okay, we're still looking at some dead animals, aren't we? Yeah. Oh, the mountain lion there. Okay. All right. Back to How do we get on the Rocky Mountain oysters again? Oh yeah, we're talking about these foods. Here's what they had for dessert. Are you ready? Parrot tongue pie. Now, I don't know. The only thing I can compare it to maybe is like mincemeat. I don't even know if there's real meat in mincemeat pie, but they had parrot tongue pie. Really weird. Okay. What was something else that was significant in Roman life? Fire. Remember we talked about fire for cooking, for warmth, for sight in the night. The problem with Rome, and it's been a problem throughout civilization, is the destruction of fire. And most of the buildings in Rome at this point during Pax Romana started going up, building up, because of the hills around Rome. And so they were building up, and at the top, of course, were the thatched roof. when they'd have their fire, the embers would go. And so they're almost on a nightly occasion in Rome, they had fires. And it was a concern of all the citizenry because the Senate, what building structures did they live in? What word did we study yesterday? What word do we remember? A building product? Anyone? Anyone? Evan? What do you think?
Cement?
Cement. Close. Cement is a derivative of this other item called, you got it, concrete. Okay. They had their buildings dressed like that, built like that, where the poor, the masses, the peasants, the slaves, they lived in very flammable building structures. Timetable, during Pax Romana as well, the year before the, what building? Colby knows about this because it looks kind of like the Curly Lambeau Field in Green Bay. The Colosseum opened, of course, in 79 AD. That's when some of you, of course, have heard about just south of Rome, Mount Vesuvius blowing up and totally decimating the city of Pompeii. And we'll get to that. We'll see that when we're finished with this unit. I'm going to forward you a video that you're going to watch, that we would watch in school. And it shows actually Pompeii with the bodies that were buried there. Now, going back, 14 AD, the 12-year-old, you got it. That is when Christ was born, Jesus Christ, and came into this world and spread a new religion called Christianity. Jesus Christ being born during the reign of Augustus Caesar, okay, and primarily lived his life under the reign of Tiberius Caesar. And if you remember, give to Caesar what Caesar's, when they pull out the denarius, that's all right now at this timetable. The governor, if you remember, Julius Caesar was a governor, we said, of Spain and then France. When we look at his governorship, there's a governor that had the Middle East, that had Egypt and the Middle East. And that governor, of course, he washed his hands like a raccoon. Who is it? Because he didn't want it on his conscience? Pontius Pilate. Very good. Okay, was a governor at this time. What else can we say about this time? Oh, during the reign of Augustus Caesar, that's when they needed to go and register with the census. That was during Augustus Caesar's reign as well. Okay, so we have this new religion called Christianity, and at approximately 200 AD, 10% of the world, known world in the Mediterranean, was converted to Christianity. So now we have two monotheistic religions. We have the Jewish faith, we have the Christian faith. Two. We've already said there's three. We'll get to that in a couple units, the third one. Okay? These early Christians were persecuted, of course, we've heard that. And when you die for your faith, we already studied that you're called a martyr. The most famous martyrs would be St. Paul and St. Peter, both of which are buried in Rome. And they were the leaders of the church. If you remember Peter, it's interesting because he denied Christ knowing him. He was not at that time what we would call this great, cool leader, but Christ knew that he was going to build his church on Peter, St. Peter, and that is what we get now later in the church history called the Petrine Doctrine. The Petrine Doctrine, easy way to remember this, guys, Peter. It's about Peter. Peter is the founder, the rock of the Roman Catholic Church. Christianity, Roman Catholic, Rome. Okay? And it still is today. So I hope when you're focusing here on the rest of these notes, if you miss something, you can pause or get it back. But pretty cool. But the problem is what? Today's lesson, what's a takeaway? Everything is pretty cool except right here, 180. Well, that's a huge date on Jeopardy. 180 AD is a huge date because that starts the end of peace and prosperity. Next time, we're going to learn about those declines and what's going to happen and bring down Rome. All right? Study those notes. Monday's a test. Miss and love you guys. Have a great day.